Hello Virgo and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements. We're going to be looking at the energy that you are dealing with in 2025, where you're at right now, and what you need to know and expect moving into 2026. Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Virgo, we're going to jump on in. We're going to start with looking at overall energy through oracle cards first. So we're going to look at your energy in 2025, your current energy, and what you need to know moving into 2026 with oracle cards first. And then we're going to dive into tarot as we progress with the reading. But let's first start with looking at this 2025 energy. For you, Virgo, what have you guys been dealing with? Confidence is your key to success. I feel like this year, okay, yeah, step out of your comfort zone with conclusions are within reach. This year feels like it was all about, I don't want to say taking bigger risks necessarily, but really putting yourself out there in new ways. Because with this step out of your comfort zone, I feel like you didn't really have much of a choice but to move out of your comfort zone. And I think that it's been a struggle because it feels like you've kind of moved out of your comfort zone but haven't yet really haven't seen the results of that yet. With this conclusions are within reach, I feel like you're closing out. It was a year of closing out cycles, closing out old cycles in some capacity, maybe in a job, maybe in a relationship, I'm not quite sure. But in closing out these old cycles, I feel like you're being pushed into this energy of almost believing that you're capable of more. Like it feels like this is moving you into an energy of dreaming bigger in a sense. And I don't necessarily mean that you've been dreaming small. Maybe you have. I don't know. But I feel like this is really moving you into new territory and like a career, or when it comes to relationships in this new territory, I think is a little overwhelming because it is very out of your comfort zone. But I think that this is going to end up paying off in the end. Let's look at your current energy here. I'm really interested to know more about this energy for sure. Where are you at right now, Virgo? And it might have been a year of, really experiencing, like really struggling with or working through self-doubt. And remember, this is just overall energy. We'll dive into it more with tarot as we progress. Okay, conclusions are within reach again. You and your loved ones are safe, and the end of a tough cycle approaches. Okay. I feel like this has been about building a lot of strength within yourself. And I feel like this year has maybe been full of, like I said, struggles, facing self-doubt, all of those things. But it's almost like you now know what you're really made of or what you're really capable of. And I think that it's interesting because you might not be aware of this yet, but it does feel like there is a lot of growth throughout this year. And this growth has been through struggles and challenges, okay? But this growth is what's going to take you to kind of this next level of your life, of a business, in some way. And again, there is a lot of fear around this, I think, because maybe there's a lot of uncertainty, or you're not really sure, what to expect or how things are going to turn out, but you and your loved ones are safe. So this path is very protected. And it almost feels like the things that you went through, the obstacles, the challenges, the struggles, were to get you to like a certain level of, I don't know if it was like knowledge. Like I kind of think like you're graduating, and maybe it's literally graduating. Maybe you're literally graduating from a university or from school in some way, or a class. But I feel like this is like more of in a spiritual sense, like graduating in life. like you've learned so much through this past year and maybe even further back than that. And now you're kind of ready for, new cycles and new experiences that have been, are very much waiting for you. So what do you need to know moving forward? Emotions are running high. This is excitement, because then you have a personal issue reaches resolution with a new start is coming. You're being led to really exciting new beginnings. But you wouldn't have been able to make it through to these beginnings if it wasn't for this. Like this in some way prepared you or taught you what you needed to know. And then this really feels like a lot of doors start to open because of it. This is very exciting energy. Interesting. Yeah, so maybe there's like a literal graduation. If not, it's like graduating from something. All right, overall theme of this. This kind of just helps me understand the theme of the reading, the energy that I'm reading into here, the journey that you've been on. Relief. So 2026 brings relief, solutions, stability. Talisman. But the key was your growth. Oh my gosh. Literally, talisman and then growth is the card underneath. The key was your growth. It's literally what I said. And I think that that's what's hard is sometimes we don't understand why we have to go through the things that we do until we get to where we're going. And then we're going, we look back and we go, oh my gosh, I am the person I am. I was able to make it here because of how much I've learned, how much I grew, how much I evolved from these experiences. And I think that that's what this year really feels about for you, 2026. 2025 was the year of the snake, which was all about shedding layers, shedding old habits and patterns and behaviors and cycles. And I think that that definitely applies here. 2026 is the year of the horse, forward movement and, I kind of think like the chariot, right? Forward movement and success in really positive ways. So yeah, this is interesting. It's like 2025 taught you a lot and now 2026 brings, I don't know if it's like peace or outcomes, desired outcomes, relieving outcomes. It definitely feels like there's been a lot of stress, and this isn't as stressful. This energy isn't. It's a little bit more like flowy. Doesn't mean that there's aren't going to be difficult times. I mean, every the human life comes with difficult periods. But all right, let's look at this past energy, Virgo. I want more on all of it. I think there's a lot of hard work that went into this 2025 year. Yeah, literally, Page of Pentacles in reverse. It's like not quite ready, like growth that needs to be done. Like that's what this year is about. This year is all about growing. Maybe growing in knowledge, growing emotionally, growing in all kinds of ways. Okay, so what else about this? I want to know like specifically. Maybe I can't get too specific because it is a, ooh, yeah. One tower after another. Kind of feels like in 2025, kind of feels like you weren't really able to catch a break, if I'm being honest. It kind of feels like one thing after another, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of unknowns. But you grew a lot. You learned a lot. Queen of Cups. You know, it's interesting because I feel like you're more connected to yourself than you ever really have been. Maybe more connected to your confidence, your authenticity. And again, I think it's because you're like looking at it and you're like, man, if I can make it through all that, like I can make it through anything. Or if I can get through that, like I can get through this. It's almost like, and I don't think that necessarily we should glorify our struggles and the challenges that we go through. But I do think there's something to be said for building this sense of, you know, self-trust and self-security, inner security, where we can look at the things that we've been through and go, you know, I got myself through that. Or like, I did that. Like I made it through that. I made that happen. You know, I excelled, or, I had to pick myself back up and I did that. And it's like moving forward, you have this confidence to go, if I can do that, I can do anything. And I think that that's kind of what this 2026 energy is all about. It's almost like it opens doors because of this newfound sense of confidence and strength within yourself and self-trust that you've built. And even if you still feel shaky, right? I'm not saying you need to feel just so certain in yourself and just 100%, certain in where you're headed. That's not what this is about at all. This is about knowing that you can face the things that you go through. And I think that in the energy that you're moving into as well, this is almost like the best way I can describe it is I don't really feel like you're all that open to putting up with a whole lot of BS. Like I feel like you're like, man, I've been through a lot and I've dealt with a lot of drama. I feel like you're just like, I'm just kind of over it. Like this is definitely this energy of shifting into really protecting your peace in a lot of ways too, because I feel that your peace was really shaken in 2025 in a lot of ways. Current energy for Virgo. So where are you at right now? Because this certainly hasn't been easy. I think that you're in a pretty anxious space right now. I think there's a lot out of your control. I don't think you like that a whole lot. The year of the horse and I said the chariot. That's interesting. Let's see what else we got here with the chariot. You've had to do a lot alone. You've had to really rely on yourself this past year. Like I feel like maybe you felt, a little less supported than usual, or maybe there were certain friendships that you lost, or, there's just like a lot of things that maybe you literally, like you were the only person you could really help you with. And I think that, I think that can be both kind of a good and a bad thing. I think that obviously community is so important, but I will say, sometimes, when we get ourselves through difficult periods and we really do it on our own, not without support, any support at all, but where we kind of look back and we go, again, like I did that, then it's almost like it catapults us forward because you realize how strong and capable and, powerful essentially that you really are. And I think that you've set yourself up for a lot of progress. In 2026. You've set yourself up for a lot of progress. I don't like to put a timestamp on things. I feel like this is just like as you move forward, but I think that, and you maybe don't realize it right now. Maybe you're still kind of looking at things and you're going, I don't know if I'm necessarily where I want to be. It's okay. You don't need to be where you want to be. What else here for Virgo? Independence. That's a big word. Independence. Maybe you lost certain things that you used to really rely on. Friendships or relationships or, financial security in some way. And I feel like you're in this energy of really having to kind of fight for yourself here. But the thing is, I feel like, oh, okay, it's kind of coming together a little bit more. I feel like you have been relying on things. I don't know if it like necessarily these things like took advantage of you or of your energy or your time or whatever. And I think that this is about finding, independence in your life, not meaning you're alone, okay? But realizing that you don't need to rely on people that take advantage of you, or like you don't need to have, you don't need to have friendship for the sake of having friendship if those friendships don't, respect you or treat you well. You don't need to have, like, I don't know, it's almost like finding your own path in a way. I really like this reading, but I feel like I'm having a really hard time putting into words because I think that there's just so much involved. But I think that the overall theme is that you've had to really rely on yourself. And I think that that's felt really lonely and really scary in a lot of ways, okay? But I think you're going to see that it pays off because you're going to see how, again, like how capable and powerful you really are and how, you don't need to rely on, but I don't like saying it that way because it's like you should always be open to relying on other people, especially people you trust, but never the people that, take advantage of you or the people that overstep your boundaries or the people that make you feel bad about yourself or don't value you appropriately. Like, I think that I do feel like you're getting very discerning about where you put your time and your energy because you're like, I'm done with, that kind of drama in a sense. And maybe that's the growth. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth my peace. Like, that's kind of what it feels like. What does Virgo need to know moving forward? But yeah, you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't be where you're at if you hadn't gone through that. You wouldn't realize you could rely on yourself and that you were this capable and you were this strong. And even if you don't feel like you're there yet, I do feel like that's what, that's the energy of what you're kind of coming into. Yeah, there's an abundance of new opportunities. New opportunities here. King of Pentacles with the High Priestess. You're being very guided to, okay, this is both it's like easier to say, a hell of a lot harder to really internalize. Spirit saying you don't need to worry about the material circumstances right now that are out of your control or that don't align with what you desire. Because I feel like there are things that are kind of like being worked out in the background for you. Opportunities that don't require you to self-sacrifice, things that align more with your value and your worth. And I think that these opportunities, it's like they've always been available to you, but it's almost like you weren't ready for them because of the growth that you needed to go through. And like now you're ready. You're ready for these new opportunities, these new doors to open. Interesting. This is so interesting. I'm so curious. If you guys feel comfortable telling me your story, I'd love to hear it because I'm curious how like this all kind of comes together, right? Like, does that come out? No? Okay. The Temperance. I like when they turn all the way around or hit the table. That card didn't. This one did though. Patience and balance. I also feel like Temperance is often about, I mean, it is. I feel like it is that like energy of protecting your peace. Where it's like, I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to accept anything less. I'm not going back to spaces that don't serve me. Like, I've grown too much. I've been through too much. I've gone through too much to go back or to, to settle for less. Like, that's this energy that I really feel for you in 2026. And I think that it leads you to aligned solutions and, doors that have been waiting to be opened. And I think that it's because of how far you've come, really. It's almost like, 2025 taught you a lot and 2026 opens new doors. And these new doors, it's almost like you didn't have the key. Yeah, you needed this key to unlock these new doors, and the key was the growth. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And like even the hard stuff. And I don't know if that's, no one knows, right, whether or not that's true. In my experience, it's been true. And I've also experienced that when you're going through things, being able to sit there and go, okay, this is happening for a reason and things are eventually going to get better. A, it makes it a hell of a lot, easier to cope. And B, it makes you more solution oriented, right? Because you're always going to be looking for, how are things going to improve? I know they're going to improve. How are they going to improve? What is this trying to teach me so I can get to where I'm trying to go? And I think that the more that we approach life with that mindset of everything happens for a reason as long as I'm willing to find the reason, the more that we start to, we can always create better. We can transmute challenges and obstacles and struggles into confidence and into capabilities and into that growth that's going to lead us to, places we ultimately didn't have access to before. Like that's what it feels like. It's like you didn't have access to these opportunities before because you weren't quite aligned with them, in terms of growth, in terms of maybe, I don't know, knowledge. I haven't seen the Hierophant, but, knowledge, emotional intelligence, things of that nature. It feels like you've kind of unlocked the next level in some way because of the ways, these, I don't know, it's like new skills, new abilities, new talents, new tools, whatever you want to call it. But I definitely think that it's been challenging, and I think that those challenges are going to lead you, or at least I don't want to say the challenges are what lead you, but the person that you've become in the process of where you're going is definitely going to lead you to spaces that are very abundant and just in general, like full of peace and security too. Security is a big one. Emotionally, financially, whatever kind of resonates with you. But new doors open for you in 2026 for sure. And I think that, it's, it will require you to be very in tune with your intuition. Like this is going to require you to trust yourself more than ever before. Right. And I think that the reason why you're going to be able to trust yourself more than ever before is because you've learned how to trust yourself through the things that you've grown through. So, all right, I'm going to hop on over to the extended. In this extended, we're going to dive into what you need to do right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self. Any information for that is in the description box below. We're going to dive deeper into these messages, looking at the deeper, the purpose behind what you've kind of been going through, and then, looking at that tangible advice. And then I've got an advice card to pull for you at the very end. Thank you so much, Virgo, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, Virgo, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Virgo.